I've been putting up content here on YouTube and on my podcast for long enough that certain patterns begin to emerge in the comments. And people are very keen to tell me what's really important when it comes to building wealth. And almost every time they leave a comment, I tend to disagree. Hi there and welcome back to the channel. My name is Pete Matthew. I'm a chartered financial planner based here in the UK, and I've been putting up content on YouTube and on a podcast for more than 10 years, giving you everything you need to know and everything you need to do to secure your financial future. Now, everybody has a view on what's important when it comes to building wealth. Sometimes there are vested interests in those views, that's fine. Often the beliefs are grounded in experience. That also makes sense. And I'm actually not here to refute those things, but to explain what I think is the most important factor in building wealth consistently and why I think it's the most important. You see, there are loads of moving parts when it comes to building wealth. Obviously, there's the investments you choose. Choose well, and your growth can be stratospheric. Choose badly, and you could lose the lot. But most of us will do okay, as long as we keep some basic rules in mind, like spreading the money around, keeping our costs and our tax to a minimum. That then brings me to wrapper choice. Does it make a difference whether you choose an ISA or a pension or a GIA? Well, yes it does, and I showed why in a recent video that's proved rather popular. I'll put a link to it up here and in the description below. And then there's market timing. Buy the dip. India is hot right now. Well, maybe not. Obviously, market timing does have an effect on how well your investments might do. But there's a great deal left to chance here because we only know that our timing was right or wrong in retrospect. Choice of investments then. Choice of tax wrapper, market timing. What about property versus crypto versus gold, or value, growth, or momentum investing? These and loads of other factors definitely do have a bearing, and sometimes quite a big bearing, on how our wealth will grow. But still, all my experience has convinced me that there is one factor that is far more important than all those things combined. But before I tell you what it is, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're not already. It really helps to grow the channel and keep it in front of as many people as possible. So thank you. You're great. So what is the most important thing when it comes to building wealth? Well, you are, or more specifically, your behavior is. Now, if you're rolling your eyes right now and you're about to click away, please hear me out because I'm going to give you 3 specific behaviors that we all need to work on as we build and maintain our wealth over multiple decades. So behavior number 1 is intention, and long-time viewers will know that this is one of my favorite words because it covers so much. Being intentional is the opposite of just drifting. It's taking your life and your finances by the scruff of the neck and saying, this is what I want you to do. So it's making a point of sitting down to review your budget, your portfolio, your insurances, and doing so however often it takes to keep things in line, year after year after year. Being intentional is making a point of checking your household bills to make sure that you're not overpaying, and then putting any saving you make to better use. It's making a point of rebalancing your portfolio if one element grows more than the others and the whole thing gets out of kilter. Being intentional is taking advantage of things like a pay rise or a promotion or any other life change to check that everything is as it should be to grow your wealth effectively. It's actively choosing to enjoy your money now and not save it for the future sometimes, rather than just defaulting to that and then wondering why your pension or your ISA isn't growing. Are you getting the idea? Nobody achieves anything great without intention. No one ever fell out of bed and onto the podium at the Olympics. We might not have a perfectly thought out plan or tightly defined goals, but if we're resolved to move forward, learning and adapting as we go, then good things are ahead. And that leads me on to the second behavior. Behavior number 2 is teachability. Now, in my financial planning career, I've met with prospective clients for the first time, and as we start to talk, it's pretty clear that what they want to do is to tell me what they think, and then just have me, the professional, confirm their ideas. And if they are wrong, in my view, as soon as I challenge their opinions, they just close up, right? Now, that's not a healthy relationship, so I don't work with people like that. I figure if you're paying somebody to advise you, you should at least listen to what they've got to say. Not too much to ask, surely. The very worst example of this was the client who wanted me to invest all of his money, a 7-figure sum by the way, with one fund manager. That fund manager has since spectacularly fallen from grace. And I often wonder, did that guy follow through on his plans? Because if he did, he would have lost a lot of money in the past 3 or 4 years, and it just gives me no pleasure to think that that might be the case. As humans, we are terrible at overcoming something called confirmation bias, which is the predisposition to seek out information that confirms what we already think. But really, we should look to have our preconceived ideas challenged. Why? Well, if we hold too tightly to our beliefs, we might miss opportunities. We might be stuck in a way of investing, say, which is being superseded. So we might say that we think crypto is just gambling and it's the preserve of cyber criminals, when in fact, it's a maturing space with a very bright future. It did take me a while to be convinced of that, but I am. So you might say that teachability is keeping an open mind. There's an infinite world of possibilities out there to help us build wealth for the future, and we need to consider all of them. But actually, in it all, our views might be right? But as long as we've considered alternatives and done so carefully before discarding them, then at least we know when we're sticking to our beliefs, we're doing so with good reason and not just because we're stubborn. And that brings me on to behavior number 3, which is resolve, because sometimes being stubborn is a good thing. And that's particularly true when it comes to volatile markets. As I'm sure you know, markets go up and down constantly, and they take our investments, our ISAs, and our pension funds with them. There is a significant correction in markets at least every other year. That volatility is just the price of entry if you're going to be an investor. If you're going to build wealth, you have to take some risks. And holding your nerve when things are really rocky is make or break stuff when it comes to building wealth. I remember back in March 2009, towards the end of the credit crisis, stock markets were down 40% or even more in some cases. And I remember at the time that some commentators in the mainstream media were saying that markets could halve again from that point. So that would have made for something like a 70% total loss in markets. Well, I'm telling you, if you've never experienced markets like that, it takes some spine not to run for the hills. Now, in retrospect, March 2009 was in fact the low point. Those who held on did pretty well for the rest of that year. J.L. Collins, who wrote a brilliant book called The Simple Path to Wealth, talks about stock markets leaving some investors bleeding by the side of the road because they just can't take the ups and the downs. So they bail out, and they usually do that at the worst possible time. But if we resolve to stick it out, we win over the long term. So what's the message here? Why are we the most important factor in our financial success? Because we are the only thing in the whole process that we can actually fully control. We can't control markets. We can't do anything about governments continually meddling with pensions rules, except maybe we can lobby our MP. We can't control the decisions of central banks. We can't control inflation, monetary supply, company board decisions. But we can be intentional in everything we do. We can remain open to having our minds changed, and we can stay resolute when others around us lose their nerve. That's how you win with building wealth. So what do you think? Am I right? Let me know in the comments. I am open to having my mind changed, I promise. So thanks for watching this video. Hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. It really does help. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.